Hey guys, it's Nihongo Johnny. Minasan konnichiwa, Nihongo Johnny desu. I just want to say welcome if you're new. I'm Johnny and I talk about all things paranormal in Japan. Today, I have a big surprise for you guys. I am so excited and so honored to be reading one of Loey Lane's Untold stories. And if you guys don't already know, I am a huge fan of Loey Lane. I've been watching her for almost 2 years now and I'm obsessed with her channel. So if you guys haven't checked out her channel already, I'll leave a link here. It's amazing. Please check it out. I have to admit, I tried filming this yesterday, but I had the weirdest day. For the first time in a long time, we had a thunderstorm in Los Angeles. And on top of that, while I was reading this story, I had so many technical difficulties I've never run into in my life. For once, the audio was really strange. I had the battery die on me twice, even though I've never had battery problems before. So I don't know if I was reading this story, but it creeped me out a lot. I hope I can get through this recording very smoothly, so let's see how it goes. Now, I'm not gonna make you guys wait any longer. I'm gonna get right into this story, because I am so excited. Hey Johnny, here's my Ouija board story. I hope you like it. Admittedly, I knew better than to use a Ouija board again. This was after I had made my initial Ouija board story times on YouTube. I was constantly warned against the use of them. After researching them for my own videos, I realized the danger in inviting spirits in to use their energy to move our own hands around the board in order to spell a message. I truly don't know what came over me that night when I decided to use one again, but it pushed every rational concern I had about Ouija boards out of my head. I used a Ouija board in December of 2017. I was with a close friend of mine that I'll call Brad. This wasn't my first holiday season without my father. But for some reason, his loss was hitting me incredibly hard during this time. The messages and signs from him were coming through less and less. Something I've never talked about on YouTube is that I, every now and again, can communicate with loved ones who have passed away, or those who are truly close to me. It happens sporadically, and once the spirits come through, it's almost like I can't stop talking until they get their point across. This night was one of the first times I had a spirit come through so strongly that I couldn't stop talking for well over an hour. My friend Brad was left on the brink of tears from the messages he had received from his loved ones from beyond the grave. I obviously felt a lot of things. Sadness for my friend, joy that he and his loved ones were able to reconnect, but also jealousy. I was jealous that I couldn't even speak with my own dad, the way that I could speak to someone I had never even met when they were alive. I think that's what drove me to unbox a Stranger Things themed Ouija board that I had purchased from Target only a few months before. I had also owned a vintage Ouija board that I had bought from an antique shop, but at the time it had mysteriously gone missing. That probably should have been my first clue to not put my fingers on the planchette. But I couldn't be reasoned with. I asked Brad if he would join me, and knowing how badly I wanted to talk to my father, he obliged. We placed our fingertips on the planchette, and immediately there was a buzz of energy. This seemed to rattle the plastic piece. I kept my first question simple. Is anyone there? Silence. Not just from the board. It was as though every single molecule surrounding us had gone still. The TV behind us was playing some mindless show. We had left it on in the background for noise, but it was as if the mute button had been pressed. My apartment was so still and quiet that it was borderline unbearable. You know that feeling when you're walking up the stairs, and suddenly you have the most unnerving sensation that someone's behind you? It makes you want to run and scream up the rest of the way, if only to let the invisible entity know that you recognize its presence. That's the feeling I got sitting in the quiet, way too quiet living room. I asked a lot of questions and I never got any discernible answers. The best way I could describe what the planchette felt like under our fingertips was like someone was pulling it from one direction, but another force was directly in front of it so that it couldn't move. You could feel the pressure and the tension of something trying to pull that planchette, but something else was stopping it. Eventually, I was frustrated to the point of tears when something broke through the silence. Knock, knock, knock. Directly against my office wall, which was adjacent to the living room, came 3 long, slow knocks. Brad tensed up beside me, but I quickly reminded him not to leave the board without saying goodbye. Despite my better judgment, I asked, "Was that you who knocked?" The same weird, tense energy buzzed from the planchette under our hands, but it still did not move. Once again, I heard from my office 3 knocks. Brad told me to end the session, leading the planchette down to the bottom of the Ouija board before finally moving away from it. He searched my office and eventually my entire apartment. He was looking for signs of an intruder because the knocks were so deliberate and they truly seemed to come from the room beside us. He even had me recreate the sound of the knocks against the office wall. It only confirmed it. It sounded exactly like what we had just heard. The apartment had a negative and bizarre energy from day one, and I'm sure that I wouldn't have wanted to talk to whatever was in there. I'm lucky it never came through that night. Eventually, a friend of mine had moved into that unit when I moved out into a smaller one. However, she broke her lease after only a few short months of residing in that incredibly haunted place. I'm glad it's my only other Ouija board story to this date, and I plan to keep it that way. Wow. Even reading this a second time, it gave me the chills. I was kind of wondering if it was Loey's father who was stopping the planchette from moving, as if to tell her, stop playing with the board, you shouldn't be doing this. I'm really glad she was able to get away from this because I know some people can't escape. Sometimes it even follows them. But I want to know, what do you guys think? What do you think happened? Did you guys enjoy this story? Please let me know what you think in the comments below. And once again, if you haven't already, please check out Loey's channel. She's going to be reading my Ouija board story, and maybe you guys can compare them. See which one you think is creepier. But I think they're both pretty creepy in their own ways. I can't wait to see what you guys think. And as always, thank you so much for listening. If you guys enjoy this kind of content, please definitely hit subscribe. I put out new content about the paranormal and Japan every Friday. And I hope to see you guys in the next video.